Hello, 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 and welcome to the flip side of adversity. I am Dr. Veirdre Jackson, the CEO and creative behind Living Strong Consulting. So I'm giving out a shout out to all of the dreamers, all of the change makers who are refusing to just settle. But let's be honest. Do you feel the weight of wondering how to stay resilient in the face of resistance? Today, we are sitting down with Dr. Danielle Martin, an educator and a voice who is challenging the norms and leading a movement for change. When I think of how heavy it can be to run with purpose against resistance, to wonder, to worry, to have fear in the face of uncertainty. In this bold and inspiring conversation, we're going to explore what it truly takes to rise up, push through adversity, and create a lasting impact. From navigating tough conversations to building community to preventing, burnout, and even measuring success as an advocate. Dr. Dani is bringing it. She's bringing the truth, she's bringing the strategy, and she's bringing the motivation you need to keep going. So if you're ready to lead, if you're ready to grow, and you are ready to rise up, let's get ready for this conversation and rise together, not just temporarily, but for good. Let's get into it. Let's rise. Trauma, toxic stress, broken habit, and hurting heart don't define destiny, but peace isn't passive. It requires an exchange. To create a flip and access peace in the middle of the pieces, you are challenged to make an exchange of the lies that have kept you mentally hostage in basement moments. Resilience isn't about bouncing back, but bouncing forward. Living Strong, the flip side of adversity, brings powerful stories and fearless conversations from experts in the field of business, relationships, emotional, physical, and mental health, and faith-based communities. Each episode creates a brave space with powerful tools from authentic connections. Tune in as we dig in with Dr. Jackson on the flip side of adversity. Hello, Dr. Dani. Welcome to the flip side of adversity. So I gave them just a little bit of snippet about you. Let me give them a little bit more because I've got my book and I know they're gonna wonder how to get theirs by the time this conversation is over. But let me give you a little bit more of her receipts. I could not possibly do her bio justice. I was kidding with her. If I read the bio, it would be the entire show. But let me give you a bit of context on why, when I want to have a conversation around rising up, around not quitting, around diving into emotional resilience, why I picked this lady right here to be able to have that conversation with us. So, Dr. Dani is the creator and host of the Education is Freedom podcast, and she is the author of her first book, Rebel Rights: Navigating Personal and Collective Liberation. Dr. Dani Martin caters to educators, students, parents, and anyone passionate about learning and self-development. The podcast, part of the global She Is Still Dope network, with listeners all over the world features spirited discussions and real time examples of educational empowerment, critical thinking, and problem solving across public school systems, higher education institutions, and civic application. I am so excited to be able to welcome to the conversation Dr. Dani Martin to the flip side. Ah, and the crowd goes wild.
Gosh, thank you so very much. Hey, Flipside. Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
You're just part of the family now because I think we calculate. I think this is like the third time you have been on
This
the show.
is.
And
Yes, I am family.
you are family. You are family. And every time I uh, just love being able to have a different aspect of the conversation with you. So let's actually jump into it because I was reading my book, and this is literally, y'all, how this conversation came about. I was reading the book and I literally got to the chapter of building emotional resilience for equity advocates. And I said, oh, the people need to understand.
People.
We need to help the people. And I am never going to pull somebody else's work. I said, let me bring the author into the conversation so that she can tell us when you are crafting this book, I am curious, what does emotional resilience mean to you?
Mm. So, first of all, thank you so very much for having me. I'm just excited to be in this space and to share a piece of my passion and my heart with your viewers and listeners. So, we've been going through a lot, right? We've been going through a lot as a people. And we've been going through a lot in the last, what, 45, 50 days? I have lost count. So when I think about emotional resilience, I'm thinking about how are we taking care of ourselves in the midst of all the
Mm-hmm.
things that
Mm-hmm.
are happening, right? Right now, and you probably don't realize this, but when you sit down and think about it, right now, we're managing emotional labor and compassion fatigue.
Yes. Yes.
Right? We have something that we care deeply about. We have some things that we're passionate about, and there are some barriers and some things that are in our way. And so when I think about how we can take care of ourselves or our emotions or how we are resilient, we need to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us who struggle with boundaries from with day-to-day relationships, whether those relationships are platonic or intimate, but we need to set boundaries around what is happening for us right now. So I'll just use an example. A lot of times we are thrown into or feel forced to have conversations centered around diversity, equity, inclusion. I'm gonna say that whole thing or just being a person of color in a space, right? We're forced to sometimes wear the hat, if you will, that we are the spokesperson of a particular culture, race. So one of the ways you can help yourself set boundaries in those type of conversations or situations, you can encourage the other person to research on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to carry all the things. You are not the official spokesperson for all the women, for the Black race, for whatever it is. You are not the spokesperson. So, to take that pressure off yourself, set your boundary, draw your line in the sand, and you can politely say to someone, I would encourage you to do your own research surrounding
Mm-hmm.
XYZ. And then maybe we can come back and have a conversation. The other thing we need to do, we don't do this well and we don't do it often, We need to prioritize self-care without guilt.
Yes.
So let's recognize that rest is not a luxury. Rest is not just for some, rest is for all. You often hear as well people say rest is the resistance, right? Because if you're not
Hmm.
resting, how can you recharge and refuel and your body get everything that it needs so you can get up the next day and do whatever it is you have to do again?
Right.
You cannot do anything well without rest,
Yeah.
right? Even
Hmm.
if you're a believer, right? You
Hmm.
already know where I'm
Hmm.
going with this.
Yes.
God rested on the seventh day.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
who do we think we are, you know, without taking the rest that we need? We need to also utilize more educational resources instead of continuing to repeat. So back to the boundary, right? If we're
Hmm.
not setting the boundary, then we find ourselves having these conversations and it's on repeat. And you're over here in this building and you got to defend yourself and all the things. Then you walk down the street and somebody else says something to you. Then it's on repeat and you're defending all of the things. Stop, remember your boundary, and you can say to that person again, I encourage you to, or
Hmm.
you can have resources available to share with somebody that that person then is responsible for their own learning.
Right.
So
Those.
then we're also, one more thing,
Yeah.
we want to find where and who is our safe space.
Yes.
We need to connect with like-minded individuals or advocates who share the same thoughts, understanding as us, because we need to get that out.
Yeah.
You can't harbor all of that in here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
So,
that is within this.
but you literally, we have a whole podcast on each one of those because there's deep lessons. There are things to begin to break the cycle of. And also, when you opened by saying we are carrying the weight of um, emotional labor and compassion fatigue, that for me just resonated directly into my soul because I think about the misconception that sometimes people have in that if I just keep moving, somehow I'll outrun this or I can ignore this. And you literally, if you think about emotional labor, there's a push, there is a pressure that comes with that,
Mhm.
and then compassion fatigue that literally compassion is the action, and any action you do not rest from will exhaust you. Both of
Mhm.
those happening at the same time. I love the four. So, can you just give us the collapsed four? Because I want they were not ready. They didn't have the pen. Now they didn't
Look,
know.
family, I'm
They didn't
sorry.
know.
She should have told you in my receipts that you needed a pen and piece of paper because I'm a professor. So I'm gonna teach the things that I'm gonna need you to take notes. So
Yes. When I tell you, um, all the things. So start us from the top. Just give us those four straight. Write
I'm
down
just
one,
gonna
two,
give you
three,
the
four.
four.
Mm-hmm.
So number one is setting your boundaries.
Yes.
Number two, you are prioritizing your self-care without guilt. Stop feeling bad about taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I just gotta
Yeah, yeah,
add
yeah.
this too. If you are a traveler, when you're on an airplane, what's the pilot say to you? When they're giving you the instructions and your little mask comes, what do they say? They say, place your mask on your face first before you help anybody else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
y'all, I need y'all to remember that. So you're
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing yourself without guilt. You're using educational resources, and that can be articles, that can be Google Scholar, that can be something from a credible source.
Yes.
Right about now, it's a
That
little
is
bit more of a
scary. Right.
challenge
That
to
is scary.
find.
Like.
a
Truth.
credible source,
Truth.
okay? But within your village, I'm sure you can find someone who knows of a credible source for you to find some things that you could read up on.
Mm-hmm.
And then who is and where is your safe space?
Yeah.
Because also in this whole emotional resilience thing, the big part is community. And even with the entire book, I need you all to realize that you cannot do this work alone,
Mm-hmm.
right? We weren't
Mm-hmm.
created to do anything alone, right? We have different relationships with people, friends, whatever the relationship is. We weren't created to do life alone. We're not created to do this work alone.
Yeah. And to that point, I want to come back to that because I have been talking, I can't tell you how many spaces where I've openly said if we are going to survive this journey, it is going to be absolutely necessary that we are collaborating, that we are connecting, that you are connecting with people that you would not normally connect with, like actually
Mhm.
identifying your safe people, but then also the innovative relationships that will help us gain new ideas, gain new insight, and to be able to create and move forward together. Because I know oftentimes when we are in a fearful place,
Mhm.
isolation feels like
Mm.
the best solution, and that's a lie. It
That's a lie.
Our bodies aren't even designed for that to be true, but somewhere in our story, our narrative, our past, the habit of when I am feeling stressed, overwhelmed, fearful, the pullback, embarrassed, you
Hmm.
know, the
Hmm.
pullback
Yep.
of I'm going to muscle my way through this by myself somehow became a solution when actually it's a
Right.
lie.
And you think about all the things that happen to you while you're in isolation, right? But I think, at least for me, when there was a period of time in my life when I was struggling with some things and I isolated at first, the first thing was the battle in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to tell myself different things. You're not this, you're not that. Nobody wants to hear this from you. Nobody wants to, and then you hold that in your body, right? Then your body starts to hurt and ache. And then you don't feel like moving. You don't want to get up to the point where the victory of the day was when I just got up and got out of bed.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
isolation does to you. Isolation is a lie. So it's important for you to have that community, to have that village of people that you can depend on, people that will, if they ain't heard from you in a couple days, hey,
Mm-hmm.
where you at?
Mm-hmm.
People that will
Mm-hmm.
pop up
Mm-hmm.
on you in love,
Yeah.
people that will hold you accountable in love, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we running from accountability a little bit, but I could think that's a whole nother conversation. But people, that's what people in your community and your village will do for you in love.
Yeah. Yeah. When you find the safe people,
When you have to find the safe
the
people.
safe people. So you also referenced being able to, and I love Esther. So if you are on Facebook, Esther has put all four in the comments, y'all. So scroll down. If you missed the opening, Esther's
Thank you,
helping.
Miss Esther.
Esther's helping you out. She put all four in the comments. And the third one, find credible sources. And that actually is why I wanted you to come on, because I know you've done the work. You are living the passion. You are walking out purpose. And you are absolutely on fire around impacting others and provoking others to find their impact. And so I look to you as a credible source to be able to help others. So let's back it up and actually identify who is Rebel Rights for. Who's rebel rights
Wonderful
for?
question. Thank you for the question. So initially, I will share this with you because my everyday audience is young people. That's who I was thinking of when I wrote this. But then, right, there are different audiences who need to hear this and need to know these things. So, what I will say to you is that Rebel Rights is for anybody who is passionate, who wants to make a change. This is for someone who wants to do something and they don't know how to start. So, it's really for everybody, honestly.
Oh, and there's so many who actually, when I don't know where to start, I will find myself isolated or paralyzed. And so having a tool that will absolutely provide you with not only the first step, but the recovery step. And
Mhm.
I wanted to have you actually unpack some very specific chapters in the book because we can't give them everything because you need to get your copy because I got my copy.
You
And
have to get your copy.
you have to get your copy. And just a shameless plug, any woman who is registered for Girlfriend Gathering March 29th, first of all, Dr. Dani is our opener. We, y'all, she can ready have us work. Y'all thought I was bad. We
Right.
went through we went through the plan for the opener. First of all, she's the opener for March 29th. But guess what? If you are in the room and on time, the raffle prize for the girlfriend gathering on March 29th, we are giving away two Rebel Rights to women who are in the room. You got to be
Hmm.
in the room. So when you want a credible source, it's an opportunity for you to actually go to someone who is doing the work. But I would like to know, how was there a particular experience that actually inspired a
Hmm.
defining moment for you in which you said, no, I've got to rise up? Was there a particular
Yes.
experience? Yes. Oh.
Yes. So, where this all came from was literally when we watched George Floyd, rest his soul, be murdered right on TV. The shock, the pain, the hurt, the trauma in watching that. Then I was watching young people who came together, wanted to do something, didn't know what to do, where to go. So that coupled with the students I teach, who sometimes don't even realize that all the things are happening outside. Um, that for me, I was like, okay, I have to do something. So I began to write. And part of what I was writing was how I was feeling on the inside about all of these things that were happening. I was angry. I was sad for just to be able to witness that, the trauma in that for the people who were literally standing there. I mean, we were just watching it on TV, but the people who were standing there, the young woman who recorded it, the children who want for us as well, adults who want to believe that police are here to protect and serve, right?
Mhm.
To see that happen, there's so many feelings in that. And then for my own students who sometimes don't feel like they have a voice. So I just started writing. And originally it was a free write. At the same time, at the same time, I was in my doctoral program. So I was already doing some writing and some researching on, at the time, I believe I was preparing for my comprehensive exams. And one of the questions was, do I think that there is systemic racism present in institutions? So then, then I'm writing about that also. And God just laid it on me. Here's what I need you to do. This is what I need you to do. And I need you to walk in this. And I need you to teach the people.
Mm.
Now, when God speaks to you, sometimes I don't know about you all, but I was like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on, Lord.
Oh, no, no.
Okay, just wait.
Wait, wait,
Let's
wait.
hold on a minute because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that.
Somebody need to tell the truth. Somebody need to tell the truth right now in the
And
comments.
I am being
Mm-hmm.
extra transparent, right? Like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wait, my responsibility is to teach the students I have, and I just need to
Yeah.
get these feelings out of me, right? That that wasn't all he had for me. I was to finish my degree, which I ran from for 10 years, by the way. I was supposed to finish my degree. I was supposed to position myself, and I was supposed to do many other things that led up to this moment. So that was just the tipping point for me to get all of this out. And surely, if I was feeling this way, somebody else was feeling this way. And now that
Mm-hmm.
we recognize our feelings, what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to create um, kind of a blueprint. I don't
Yes.
know if it's a blueprint, but some steps.
It's so interactive.
And I needed it to be interactive,
So
right? That's
you
that teacher in
mm-hmm.
me, that
Mm-hmm.
differentiated instruction for somebody who may not get it just with the words on the paper. They need to visually see it, or I need to hear it. So I'm going to scan a QR code and I'm going to be able to go to Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Martin's website and get more in-depth conversations surrounding, whatever the topic is. So I needed to be able to play to the masses
Mm-hmm.
because I need people to understand in their learning style.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you responded even with the pause because that got some responses and they were like, oh yes, when you are given an assignment and sometimes you're like, oh, I wasn't ready for that assignment, but when you lean in and say yes, and then you have to work it out for yourself before you are giving it to someone else, and then at the
Mhm.
same time recognizing that this is stirring a lot of stuff up in me. I can't imagine what people without this resource are holding on to, that they need to actually have a
Uh-huh.
space and a process to let it go, because holding on to it is not only going to physically make you sick, but it's going to sabotage the very assignment you have been given.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have to work it out, rise up, stay connected, because the assignment will be sabotaged if
This
you
is
are
why I
not
need you
well.
all to stop running around talking about you understand the assignment.
Oh,
Because do you really?
she
Do
just
you
came at
really?
she came at our next
I'm,
people.
I'm just saying, do you really understand the assignment that is given to you? The assignment that is given to you has somebody else's blessing attached to it, right? So if I kept this on the inside of me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who was going to get what they need? You know? The other thing too is, and we've been coming away from this a little bit. There's liberation in learning. Education is freedom. Okay. We need to get back to educating. And so this book for me was showing people how to rebel through writing. You're
Mm.
setting yourself free through writing because you're getting those feelings out. Not only are you getting those feelings out, it walks you through reflections, so able to think about things. It also gives you the space to develop an action plan. Because I don't
Yes.
know about you all, if you don't write it down, are you gonna do it? And there's this
Mm-hmm.
as a quote, I can't, the name of the person escapes me right now, but I always tell my students this, a goal without a plan is a wish.
Yes.
So I'm offering you in this book the space to be able to write down what you're thinking, write down where you think you want to go, and then develop an action plan around that with the support to be able to do that.
I love that. And you know, in the girlfriend gathering, our last girlfriend gathering, the closing statement from Eric Thomas that I put on the screen is if you don't have a plan, you're just pretending. So it is an opportunity for us to physically, because you have meditations in here, you have more extended content, you've got journaling, you've got reflection, you've got all types of things. So you're literally creating a full body release so that you are liberated to be able to move forward, and you have a space to begin to write down concrete next steps and stop
Yes.
ruminating about what offended you.
Stop ruminating. Okay. Yes, it offended you. Yes, you felt some type of way. What are you going to do about it? Right?
Mhm.
What are you going to do about it within reason? Don't be running out here cussing nobody out because Dr. Danny ain't tell you to do that. Okay? What is that going to solve?
Mhm.
Nothing,
Mhm.
right? So there's a way that we have to fight.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
way that we have to rise up. So in this fight, we have to be strategic,
Mhm.
we have to be educated, and we have to be unified.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. When you think of what are some daily or even long term habits that you have found, both as an educator and an executor of purpose, what are some either habits or daily practices that you've actually found that help prevent burnout and actually help you stay motivated as you're facing different challenges?
Hmm, that's such a good question. So for me personally, one of the things that I've incorporated for almost the last year, consistently, okay, because I need it, it's got to be consistent. One of those things is going to the gym. I have to go to the gym. And I'll be transparent. I'm not trying to look a type of way. I'm not trying to, get into the bikini. I can, in case you're wondering, I can. But I'm not even trying to do that. The goal for me is to release.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have that release time. Um, some of my best thoughts come on the elliptical, because I'm really not tuned into the TVs that are
Yeah.
across.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the other thing. I cannot and will not do a lot of news.
No.
I take
The
in
diet.
what I need to
Mm-hmm.
take in for my students and I dissect it so that I can break it down and teach them and we talk about it. In our
Mm-hmm.
classroom is the safe space to be able to talk about some of these things that will affect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do a lot of news. Sometimes I have to, and this is not even sometimes, this is becoming a thing for me too. There are times where I have to sit in silence
Mm.
because I have to come down.
Yeah.
So what people don't realize about educators is in some spaces you are everything. You are everything to your students. They're not even going to go home and ask their mama. They're going to wait till the next day and they're coming, Dr. Martin, I'm trying, what you think about this?
Whole
And
truth.
sometimes I'm like, child, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. So you are in a position where you are everything to everybody, and you have to be able to come down
Yeah.
and rest.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, two things about you don't know this about Dr. Danny. I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna rest. So whether it's naps,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just I'm just laying on the couch. Music is big for me. I am a music worshiper.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time last night I was making dinner for myself and I'm in the kitchen and I have my worship music on 20.
Mm-hmm.
And it just allows me that release.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find out what works best for you because all of the things I just said may not work for you. But you have to be able to release the
Mm-hmm.
stress. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of us walk around like this all day. What is
Mm-hmm.
that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Truth.
why? Why are we doing that? But we
Holding the
carry so
tension.
much
Mm-hmm.
and we're holding it. And then, it's all up in our neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes up in our head and we have a headache. And then we just
Right.
can't function. Then we're
Right.
tired. Then we're stressed. All of these things need to be released out of your body. And what does that look like for you? And one of the ways that you can release your feelings or the stress or the tension is through writing.
Yes. And when you think about the long term habits that will allow you to be able um, to become more present to what's happening in you so that you can begin to release, so that you can replace it with the next step in the walk, in the assignment, in the purpose. And as you just stepped on all of our toes, even sometimes we have to release so that we are certain we understand what the assignment is before we go posting something about you got the assignment. But did you spend
And
enough
you know what
time?
else?
Right, right.
You know what else?
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell everybody. You can't tell everybody that you have an assignment. Okay. This book is 5 years old. I just released it right before Christmas. But all this work,
Mm-hmm.
this assignment is 5 years old. I had to sit in that. I couldn't tell everybody what
Yeah.
this was about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
don't so write that down in your notes. Not
Yeah.
everybody. You can't tell everybody everything. Back
Mm-hmm.
to that safe space in that
Mm-hmm.
in that village we were talking about. That's why it's important for you to have that safe space and your trusted people. You may be able to tell them some of them, but you can't tell everybody about the assignment. Because if you do, sometimes the assignment may never get completed.
Because people will interrupt or disrupt it if they're not ready for what you have been assigned. They then can begin to plant or present doubt, distractions,
Yes.
discouragement, all of those
Yes.
weeds that literally will choke
Mhm.
out the growth of what's supposed to be produced. So
Right.
true. Yeah. And that's why,
Right.
going back to your earlier statement, make sure that you are creating that processing space with safe people. With
Mhm.
safe
Mhm.
people.
And
Mm,
it was important for me to use the word rebel,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We are rebelling against anything unjust.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when you hear the word rebel, and even in our way back earlier conversation, I said this too about audacity. That has a negative connotation to it. People are like, "Oh my goodness, no, no, you don't have the
Mm-hmm.
audacity to. She had the audacity to do this." Or some people look at you rebelling against something as a bad thing. This is not a bad thing. We are rebelling against a system that is unjust.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have
Yeah.
to disrupt that.
Yeah.
Disruption is another
Mm-hmm.
word that people take in place a negative label on. That's not a disruption is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't say it's a bad thing when God disrupts our lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he knows better than us. He has something greater for you.
Yeah.
That's what caused the disruption,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have to be bold. We have to rebel. Stop being okay with things that are not okay.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't stand up for something, we'll fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to rise up.
Yeah. And you know what, though, I want to lean in this moment because I was having a conversation yesterday, and it was such a wise, intentional conversation. And one of the comments, and I've believed this for a while, but I'd love to also have you unpack it from your lens, in that we must be willing to speak to things, identify our voice, um, and not shrink in moments in which we are supposed to ask the disruptive question, be the one that creates a conversation that creates a shift, because nobody's actually talking about the real issue, but showing up in those spaces. But I'd like to lean in because sometimes also people will think that the word rebel means that I'm supposed to tear up the whole room and cause chaos. And I was having a conversation yesterday that when I use the word or share with people, you need to ask a disruptive question. It's not that I'm trying to destroy the conversation, trying
Mhm,
to shift it. And so,
mhm,
if we want to engage in intelligent conversations, especially with people who do not always have the same perspective, if we just go in to throw the table, then we no longer even have a table to sit at to get understanding. You know what I mean? It's
right,
like,
right.
I think we also, in this moment, I would like for you to unpack that. Do you, when you say rebel, are you telling me to tear the walls down? Because I want to lean in on that.
I love that. So I am not, don't y'all go out here and tell the people that I said that, because that's not what I'm doing. But I do want to say this again. We have come so far from the education of things, right? And this is why I say there's liberation and learning, because that's not what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But that's being able to say to somebody, let me offer you this. Or back to when I was talking about the boundaries, I encourage you to do your own research on such and such. Or, you know what? Culturally, this is what this means for us. So we have to get back to basics sometimes. And that includes being able to educate
Mm-hmm.
ourselves and others, even generations, on what things mean.
Truly
Because
generations.
sometimes we don't speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just thinking of my daughter's generation right now. And when they talk to you, they're like, bro, I didn't, and and because I work with young people, I don't get offended. But the boomers, honey, they're like, don't you call me bro. I'm
Mm,
not your bro. We have to be able to educate each other on what that means.
yes.
That's not really a bad thing for them.
No.
If they're calling you bro, they rock with you.
They're actually giving you a compliment.
That's like a term of endearment in their
Mm-hmm.
language,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we have to be able to educate each other. Now, you have to be willing to
Mm-hmm.
learn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a barrier
And
in some
listen.
spaces.
And
You have to
listen.
be able to listen without responding. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to listen and take that in
Mm-hmm.
and allow somebody else's perspective to teach you something new because
Yeah.
you don't know everything. So, so I think I'm coming from that.
Mm-hmm.
perspective, we have to get back to educating. You think back to our ancestors and how they learned things when education was illegal.
Yes. Yes.
Storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
they would braid our hair
Yes.
and there were
Music.
maps in our hair,
Yes.
music.
Music.
There are so
Mm-hmm.
many ways to educate each other on these different things, and we need to do that. Education is missing.
But there's something that you have that I think is a powerful opportunity for people to learn from is that when we're talking about educating, you referenced we have to have a table with multiple generations at it so that we are not fighting one another. We are creating a collective, a collaboration, and truly trying to help one another process, learn
Hmm.
together, gain understanding. But in order for to do that, I take our conversation all the way back to how you started it. I have to be well in order to
Hmm.
not take offense to everything
Right.
that someone is saying, and we
Hmm.
lose the opportunity to actually
Hmm.
hear. I tell my
Yes.
clients all the time, it is not about calling each other out. It's about calling one another in so that we can be called to action together. If we
Hmm.
stay like this, we are not going to be able to build legacy and impact together.
Yes. Yes. All of that. Perfectly said. We missed the mark. We're missing the mark. If you think about so let's just think about what's happening right now in this current climate. We're all in silos. We're all experiencing the same thing across the generation, but we're all in silos. I'm over here, and because I don't like the way she looked at me the other day. And so we've got this other fight out here, all of the things that are happening and coming at us. And then we've got these pods in our own communities or cultures, and we're going against each other because we don't understand each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if we're not well, back to your point about not being well, you're annoyed,
Mm-hmm.
you're stressed out when somebody comes, you give them the deep sigh, child, here she come. All of those things, you know, which is really unfair to the person who is trying to come to you with something, but it's also unfair to you. Because why do you
Yes.
feel like that? You need to unpack that and deal with that before you put that on somebody else. We don't need to that's the thing that we don't need to transfer.
Right.
So we
Yes.
we have a lot of work to do within ourselves for our communities and then,
The collective.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
the
Collective.
collective. So many times that we see all the things happening right now
Mm-hmm.
and we're angry and we want to fight,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't done
The work.
our work.
And I want to honor the fact that it took you 5 years because sometimes I've had conversations with authors who have come to me with the desire to have feedback or can you tell me where to go from here? And I'll literally read their writing and say that you are speaking, your voice is coming from a place of pain and people need hope. And so if you're going to write from a place of trauma and pain, how is that going to serve someone who needs hope?
Right.
And you
Right.
gave yourself space 5 years to get to a place of wholeness so that you gave us a resource that is built from a place of hope, strategy, healing, those things. So I encourage people who want to write, make sure you're not writing from your pain place because we don't need replicated pain. We need replicated hope. I love it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
book, the last section of the book discusses and I got Can you believe we have 9 minutes left? I'm
Oh my
just
goodness.
right. The last section of the journal discusses building our legacy. Can you tell us a bit more about why that is so significant for you and what you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, so, you think about those who have come before you, right? They left us something.
Mhm,
Our ancestors left this earth without being able to do all the things that we're doing.
mhm,
They couldn't vote, some of them couldn't read.
mhm,
But to your point about hope, they kept hope alive. They had hope. They poured into the next. So I personally, I'm pouring into everybody, but not just those with me, but I'm pouring into those behind me on purpose. Not just my own kids. I'm an educator. So for those of you who have students, college age students, that's who I work with right now. I pour into them and I love them as if they were my own, but I'm teaching them survival right now because there is going to be a point in time where I'm not here, their parents are not here, maybe mentors are not here, and so you have to be able to survive.
mhm,
That is going to long, surpass me.
mhm,
They'll
mhm,
remember, oh, you know what? I remember in Dr. Martin's class, she taught me how to advocate for myself. Because they learned that in class, they're going to then share it with somebody else who's behind them or in another class. So it's very important for me in this
mhm,
work and thoroughly understanding that's part of my assignment.
mhm, mhm,
This is why I'm in a position to teach. I remember long ago when I was in K-12 and I was devastated because I had gotten furloughed. And you couldn't tell me if you would have told me then that I would be where I am now, I'd been like, "Psh, what?" I thought for sure that I was going to be a first grade teacher for the rest of my life. I was ready for it. I love the little people with no teeth. My toothless wonders were amazing. That was life for me. When I got furloughed, my life stopped. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now?
mhm,
And God said to me, there will not be four walls that will be able to contain you. You will teach all over the world. I didn't understand that then. I understand that now as part of my assignment. So I'm leaving education. I'm leaving experience. I'm leaving survival skills because they need all of these things to be able to function when we're not here.
mhm,
I am raising in my own household scholars. I'm raising critical thinkers. I'm producing critical thinkers in my classroom. So while some people don't like those words and want to outlaw them, and you step in my class, this is what we're doing. That's a part of my legacy. I want people to remember those things when I'm not here. This is my impact.
yes. And it is echoing literally around the world. I You continue to inspire and encourage me. I mean, the again, this is her third time on, um, and again, it is just another opportunity for us to build upon the first time she talked about the audacity of advocacy. And then we really actually talked with our daughters about, how do we talk to one another? What legacy are we leaving? And the fruit, the product,
Mm.
the product
Mhm.
now is in our hands, and it's a call to action. And I often ask, with our last few minutes, my guests to think about that person. And I'm actually going to ask you to speak to educators because I have been in spaces where they are so discouraged, beat up, and feeling
Mm-hmm.
unseen. And
Mm-hmm.
they are the lifeline to our
Mm.
future. And
Mm-hmm.
I want you to close us out to speak to that educator who is feeling discouraged and exhausted and wants to give up, but you have a message to rise up. What do you say to them?
First of all, I want to say thank you for all that you do and all that you pour. It is time for you to rise up, but you have to rise up in this way. First, you have to rest and recognize that you cannot shoulder, you cannot carry the weight of the world. You have the amazing blessing to be in front of young people on a daily basis. These people look to you, they love you in their way, right? They love you dearly. There's not anything that they won't do for you, but what will you do for them? What legacy will you leave for them? How can you help shape and mold them? I understand your struggle. I understand you're buying books and supplies with your own money. I understand all of that. But now is the time in this climate that we're in, they are looking to you for guidance, and you can't pour into them from an empty cup. So here's one thing I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you to write as well. Rebel write, right? I want you to listen to these words. And this is for more than just the educators, for everybody. I pledge to use my words with intention. As you're speaking to our children, be intentional about what you're pouring into them. I pledge to use my words with intention, to challenge oppression, to tell untold stories, and to amplify marginalized voices. Educators, you have that whole population in your classroom. I will write and speak with courage. I will break the silence. I will create space for radical truth telling. It is essential that we tell the truth, that your students know the truth, that they know who they are and they know where they come from. My writing and speaking is activism. It's my resistance and my gift to the world. That is your gift to your students. It's time to rise up.
I am speechless. I am speechless. All I have is thank you. Thank you for again coming on and having a flip side conversation that is so authentic, so real, so from the soul. I can't thank you enough, and I want to just remind Girlfriend Gathering that Dr. Dani is opening up the session on March 29th.
I can't
She's
wait. I'm excited.
and she is on fire with challenging you on your impact. So if you haven't registered, now's the time. If you haven't gotten the book, guess what? If you're in the room for Girlfriend Gathering, you will get a raffle ticket. I'm giving away two. So I just want to again say thank you, Dr. Dani.
Thank you.
It was already said in the comments that this was a necessary
Mm,
conversation. This was a
mm.
necessary conversation. It was. So I know people are like, well, I don't know. I'm just meeting Dr. Dani for the first time. How do I follow her? Like, where's she at? Give the
Oh
people
my
your
goodness.
website and your social media handles.
My website is Dani Martin, EDD, all lowercase.com. So you can find your books there. You can find merch, all the things. I'm on Facebook. It's just as Danielle Martin and also Dani Martin, EDD as well. So you can keep track of all the things I'm rebelling against. And I'm on Instagrams, Dr. Dani underscore two. I would love to connect with you and yeah, keep the conversation going. It's time to rise, y'all.
It is time to rise. It is time to rise. And ladies, she said it in our conversation. Whatever you have been sitting on, whatever you have been pausing on, whatever you have been waiting on, it's time to rise up and it's time to execute. It is time to execute. And that is what Girlfriend
That's
Gathering
right.
is all about. I love a good tea party. But this here is
This ain't
about
that.
this ain't that. This ain't that. This is getting in the room with experts to help you
Hmm.
execute and finish. Finish it. Not in
Yes.
isolation, not paralyzed, but in collaboration. Ah, I tell you, Sword War, you do it. You did it again. You did it again.
I
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
You sure will. I'm ready. I can't wait to see my girlfriends. Hey, y'all. Hey. And again, if you're not registered, you need to be in the room because a time will be had.
Yes, indeed. Flip side community, it has been another conversation, and I promised you that for the entire year of 2025, um, I want to have conversations around healing. How do we navigate uncertainty, fear, concern, worry? How do we not have those things take over our lives, but we actually gain the tools and the resources to stay present, to stay clear, to stay in action, to rise up? And this is not the time to give up. So, all year long, I am having conversations with experts that are going to bring strategies and tools and a heart of resilience for all of you. So stay tuned. Same place, same time, right here on the flip side. We'll see you next week.